Fausto Pugliese, president of CybertradingUniversity.
Most people always focus on the past, where as a professional day trader, we just focus on the future. You can do very well in trading, and you don't have to have a good amount of movement for the stock to go up.
Welcome, everybody. This is Fausto from Cyber Trading University, and welcome to the Cyber Traders. I'm so excited about today's event. I got a very, very old, good friend of mine that's been a student here for a long time. Became very good friends over the years. Andrea, one of our great students, has been here. You see him every day in our trading room. He wanted to come out here and take the effort to say, you know what, he was one of you, and wanted to tell you guys a little bit about it, how he overcome. And it's always nice to have some students in here. And like I said, I've been here for so long. Andre, thank you so much for being here. What have you been up to? You look great.
Well, I'm trying, but thanks. I'm 65. I'm getting my pension.
60. You actually get pension 65? They're trying to raise us to 67. Now you're probably going to 70 by the time I get there. But
well, yeah, whatever. I'm like, how can I say? I'm from the what do they call them when they have different? Not so much old school, but like when you're in a union, right? And then all of a sudden you're whatever from the past, or I can't think of the word. It'll come to me.
It'll come to you. Well, anyway, listen, thanks for being here, Andrea, and it's always been great. I think a lot of the students in here are excited to see you. I know you met a bunch of them too. Also, we used to come to the on-sites a lot back in the day, and I mean that also has changed things. Have been great. But so anyway, so just really, briefly going into, about yourself and, and how things go on. Tell us, like, how did you get, like, what did you do for a living? How did this all get started?
Okay. So just quickly, mid 80s, I got my MBA in California at Claremont. I was a broker actually for about a year and a half, 2 years, but those were different times. It wasn't so much day trading. It was finding things that would give you 8 to 12% a year, and everybody was happy. But growing up in the restaurant business, my passion was always the restaurant business. So I did get into that. And fast forward to about 2008 with the financial crisis. I had someone who was actually working for Bank of America, and they said, a big crash is coming, short our stock. So that's how I was always a long-term trader. I had customers that were with RIM at the time, BlackBerry now. So, invest in our thing,
Big fan.
So you make 40%, 60%, kind of not so much insider trading, but that's what it was at. 2008, the financial markets crashed, and a little ETF came out, which was called FAZ, F-A-Z. Went from $2 to like $1,000. So I made like about $500,000 on that one. So then I'm thinking, well, I'm a great trader. And that's the time I started trading futures and pips and became very addictive to trading 24 hours a day. Literally locked myself up in a room and traded. Long beard, kind of like a la Howard Hughes. But then I lost my lifestyle in the sense of the girl I was living with for years. Pretty much my house, everything, basically gave her everything because I knew it was my fault.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, we think we're having a little just technical issues with Andrea. We'll be right back. So as we're waiting for him to get back, hold on, looks like he's just having some audio issues. So anyway, as Andrea is basically telling you a little about his story and how he got involved, really looking forward to him talking about being a baker. All right, so let's just wait for him to get back. And looks like his internet's running a little slow up in the Canada area. Hold on, just give him a second. Hold on a second. Now let's just give him a second. We'll be right back. Yep, there we go. Looks like he's logging back out and logging back in. But as Andrea is coming back, let's just talk about a little bit about the market, everybody. Market's up about 230 points, getting a little bit push in IBIT finally. Crypto's moving up a little bit. We had a really, really, really nice run. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the ADTX trade. That stock did really, really well. Let me just share that with you as we're waiting for him to get back. All right, just give me a second here. Let me share that screen with you. There we go. So for some of you that were here and were logged in the last 2 days, this is a stock that was on our watch list. We'll talk a little bit about Andrea, a little bit about it. I know a lot of you guys jumped in it and traded this morning, but this stock right here, you can see how it took a very, very big hit, came all the way down. Oops, am I sharing it? Yeah, I am. All right. It wasn't a $50,000 stock, a $60,000 stock, nor less it was an $800,000 stock at so many reverse stock splits. But this stock has obviously been on a really nice tear this morning and the last couple of days, which looks pretty much awesome. A couple of the stocks that did really well that we did have that did make big moves. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the ATER trade that we had. That stock went from 240 up to 340. That was also a very, very nice move. What was nice about the ATER trade, and I was kind of talking a little bit about it in the trading room, is that a lot of big iceberg orders were in that position. Let me bring that up for you and share it with you and show you what I saw on that stock right here. So when we zoom out, I did a couple of views on it, and you could see right here, there were a lot of sellers. Let me blow this up so it's a little bit easier to read. So you can see there was a lot of sellers that kept doing something called refreshing. They kept updating and updating. So there was a ladder effect over here. You could see here around 230 up to about 250. And then finally, when that bid came up, boom, the stock kept going up. There was no sellers. The guys started showing up here right around 940-ish. And they kept pulling their orders. Let me show you what they were doing here. They kept pulling their orders. They were there. They showed up all at the same time at 940. Then they pulled it. They were there. They pulled it. Then you can see they were adding to their orders. This is something called refreshing. And then basically the stock hitting that big resistance at 350. It did back off. And like I was mentioned to everybody here in the cyber group room, in the trading room, this is what we teach you in class. There's a lot of refreshing. It looked like it wanted to break it, but then he kept coming back. Okay, and he kept doing it over and over again. On the long-term chart, when you look at it, and if I draw a trend line here, you could see that there were a lot of resistance levels going back in August and in September, and you could see there was a lot of support levels back in January of last year, all the way down here. You could see it, and that was right around that 340-ish. So when you wonder and you're looking at support and resistance levels, remember we always say support and resistance levels do not exist unless the future orders that are out there. And that's the beauty about trading a stock like this, ATER. And I know a lot of you guys did well. Students that were in here did pretty well with that stock right there. All right. It looks like we got Andrea back. It looks like, oh, there he is. Andrea, you there? See if his audio is working okay.
Okay, what I did is I went on.
There you go. All right. So I was just talking a little bit, Andrea, about that one stock that we traded this morning, ATER, and we had a nice little move this morning while you were out. And, you know, we could always talk about it later of how we find them. But the other one was the ADTX trade. But getting back to you regarding about, you know, how you got started, you would tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, about your house, and you made all this money on this market. You had to give everything away, and so on.
Yeah, just a sec. So what I had to do, I had a computer working. So I'm on the laptop, readjusting here. How's that? Am I
You're good. You're good. You can get through it.
Can you hear me? Okay.
We hear you. We hear you good.
Well, perfect. So, yep. So in 09. So what happened after that? Okay, yeah. So then I got involved in the bakery business. Didn't trade for 2 years. Didn't want to touch it. It's kind of like trading anonymous, right? And then I connected with you. And you know what our conversation went like, you know, working.
I can still remember it today. I remember it today. Right? I actually sometimes I even tell the students about it. But let me hear from your words.
So I wanted to get back into trading, and I basically needed someone to And that's when we there. Josh got in touch with me. He was, I guess he wasn't an instructor yet, because I think it was the time of Rich. And sorry, I'm moving in and out. I'm just trying to get centered in this. Here, there we go. Yeah, so I met Josh and we discussed. I got in, and then basically I had my meeting with you, and it was like, this is my situation. I need somebody that's got to hold my hand going through it. And I needed income at the time. The bakery was a big startup. Did haven't years. So CTU's always been there for me, form of income coming in.
Yeah, I remember when you came to me, you're like, "Hey, could I?"
I'm good.
Yeah, I remember when you came up to me. You always said, like, "Fausto, you know, I have a six-figure salary. Can I replace it? Because I hate waking up at 5:30 in the morning." You always said, and you didn't like it. So I said, "You know what, Andrea?" I said, "Listen."
That's right.
I said, "Do it for a month. See what happens. If I can't teach you, you know, like if you teach, like if I was you were a baker, try to teach me how to bake. If I can't figure it out and don't see progression, then you know if it's for you or not." Because I always tell everybody, trading's not for everybody, you know. And sure enough, you know, listen, 10 years later, you're here. And one of the things that really impressed me, you know, regarding about your life is, you know, how you went from trading and you built all these stores because of it. You know, you had the freedom to do that. I mean, remember, like you hit rock bottom, and I know a lot of people here hit rock bottom. We always hit rock bottom, and the whole thing's about digging yourself out. So how did that come to fruition? You hear me okay, Andrea?
I just lost you a bit. Yep.
Oh, I hear you okay. You hear me okay?
You're in and out. But so I remember the first month I was there and I was talking to you, and we traded that Corelli stock, BXI or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like $1.50. But people kept buying it. 1,000 shares, and it went from like 1,000 shares, and it went from like a couple bucks to 30. You know, I got my hopes up. I'm thinking, God, if I could do this every week. But then, of course, you know, it was a one-off, and they come, you know, every so often, right? As we've seen over the years. So that would have been probably 2015-ish, 2014. But like I said, there's always been downs in the business, but CTU was always what propped up my income. And trading has changed in the last 10 years, 15 years. Geez, I remember years ago, there was like a market maker for every stock. And they were the ones that we would always kid, oh, nothing happens between 12 and 1 because they went to lunch. Fast forward into COVID. We had to shut down 4 of our stores, not close them, but just shut them down because there was no traffic. They're all in the high rises. Pressure on me, as you know, and you guys said, Matt, I need 20, 30 grand a month just, or I have to go bankrupt. And again, we're always there to help me with the trading and to basically prop up my income at the end of the year. It's also changed since COVID. You know, now we got all these guys doing all these algos, all these algorithms. And what I love about CTU is that when it first started, we were always gaga over level 3, the trade station level 3. And in Canada, I was never able to get it. So I always relied on your team to basically help me through the day. And then, of course, the algos started, then Bookmap came in, and you guys all adopted it. And again, you're always guiding us with that. I mean, the algorithms always look for, I mean, they can see, you know, I mean, they can manipulate the market and create liquidity. I don't know if they play on our emotional decisions, but they're the ones now who are basically making the market. And again, CTU is there. You, Josh, basically see the movements and reflect back to us in basically the trading room, right? Every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, with all that hand holding that we do, because that's, you know, I love doing that. I mean, I love changing people's lives. I've been there. I'm a little bit more religious person. You give back, you know, you take, you always give back, and, you know, and it pays back in the long run. There's a lot of people here that have some physical challenges in life, and, you know, being part of this community, we always look out for everybody, and we've all been there. We've all done that. And I think that's another challenge. What makes, you know, running even a business, or running, like, even you owning a store, and, you know, you love your employees, and if you care for them and you do the right thing, they do the right thing for you. Same thing about the trading room. You know, we try to do that, but we're not, you know, one thing we do try to focus on for everyone. No one's here to show off. No one's here trying to brag. No one's trying to say how much money one has more than the other. And I think that helps out a lot of people that are in here. You know, I mean, you've been doing this. I mean, you're 65 now. I mean, like you said, it's been over 10 years. So, and you're still here. And people like always say, well, why do you still need us? So maybe you could explain that. Why? I mean, 10 years, you're doing very well at it. Why you keep coming back? People still want to know.
So I've got pets in the house.
We all do. All right. So he obviously he's having some big internet issues on his property. We apologize for that, but we'll get him back up here and running. But as we go on, we'll love to hear what his comments on that, and we'll get his internet working. But, you know, regarding about Andrea, you know, he's been here for over, I mean, maybe more than 10 years now. He comes down here to New York. We have that. Oh, here he is. He back? There you are. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, you are back. Yep. So the question I have,
I don't know what's going on. Usually my, yep.
Well, the best thing to do is make sure you have nothing else running other than this room. No trading room, nothing. Make sure everything's turned off.
No, nothing. Not on the laptop. Not on the laptop. So.
Yeah.
And I did close down everything else on the other ones, but I just can't understand why the other one won't hook up. Anyway, let's go ahead.
So over 10 years, why you still keep coming back to CTU? Some people would say, like, well, if you've done so well after a year, why would you want to keep subscribing and keep coming back?
So a couple things. So through COVID, you kind of reevaluate your life. Like for me, it was like, okay, 0 to 20 school, 20 to 40 was life, family, business. 40 to 60, well, you just try to keep it all together. Now, what am I going to do the last good 20 years of my life between 60 and 80? I mean, I want to live to 100, but, you know, the body can only take so much. So I'm thinking like, okay, so it is time, slow down, back away, look at retirement. That's why I bought the place in Italy. And why I'm in the room is because, you know what? CTU now has become my retirement fund. And I do run stuff through my TFSA, which is, I believe, your 401k kind of. So for me now, it's just bringing in this income to basically sustain me because unfortunately, because of COVID, we found an offer from a big company called Fairfax, and I've never seen so many zeros in my life. I had to count them. On the ends, things change, business things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, CTU has always been in there to bring in to survive because the business is just not panning out. It's doing great, but it's just not doing phenomenal, and we're not at a point where I can get out 100%. And again, so, last 3-4 years, it's sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me now, basically, what you're helping me at is actually seeing the movements in the market and in the stocks.
Well, the big thing that we always try to tell all the students is that we'll always be there. The market's not going out of business. Okay. We all can go out of business owning a business, but stock market's not going out of business. And, you know, and it's always nice to have that supplemental income that you can go back to and still make it. Now, remember, it's not like trying to say Andrea is the next millionaire, like my next $1 million, you know, trader. It's not what this is about. It's about building consistency. And I think a lot of people here would just be happy just to, if they got a 50% raise on their salary, what they're making now, they'll be pretty happy with it. And I think that's the misconception that people have when they try to learn from somebody or get convinced to go with them with the fancy cars. You could see here, we don't go around bragging about fancy cars, and you know, you don't open up all those stores that you've done and we're able to build on that. But you know, you always can come back here to CTU and like, you know what? It's always a new adventure. You know, every day it's always something fun. But regarding about, you know, winners and losers, I think a lot of people want to know this. Where was your biggest lesson that you learned? Because we all lose money, that you learn in the market, and how did you recuperate from that?
You can still hear me, right?
I hear you now. So we're asking is, what was the biggest loser that you had that you learned from?
Oh, there's a few. It's almost like you mentioned. First of all, we never make an emotional decision. What went up one day won't go up the other day. Very similar this week. What was it? RGC. I don't know, 3, 4, 5 trading days, got out because I'm thinking, you know what? It moved up one day, tomorrow it isn't going to go up again. What happened? It hit $30. In the past, I would have kicked myself saying like, well, I should have held it. So next time I'm thinking I'll hold it overnight because if it went up today, it's going to go up tomorrow. So I had a lot of those on my account that were down 80%, hoping that they would always come back. So like I said, there's not one in particular, but there are quite a few that I used to hold. What you've taught me now is there's never a small loss is not a bad loss. It's management. And it's like, just the RGC one is the one most lately. But yeah, so I do not, my biggest thing is I don't do overnights unless I'm going to go long. I just can't think of one particular instance because there were so many in the past.
Well, listen, right? It's like having, you know, once again, owning a business, or some people here work for somebody. It's like having a bad employee. Yeah. You got to get rid of them sooner or later, because the longer you have it, the worse they are. It's like cancer. And then you know what happens? You know, we've all been through it. Right. If you haven't had it, you know, some people here got, you know, my prayers to you, whoever did. It just, you don't take care of it sooner, it's going to get worse. You know, trading's the same thing. You don't want to get involved in the stock because, you know, a cold could turn into a cancer, and that's what happens. And it happened to me just 2 weeks ago. Like I said,
good analogy.
Yeah. Well, listen, it happened to me 2 weeks ago. I was doing great when Trump got elected, you know, all the stocks, but then December came around and he started laying off all these people, and people were already counting that. And I think I told everybody this was going to happen because that's what I hear from here, living here in New York, and the market crashed. And listen, if I didn't get out of some of those positions, I mean, I was killing it on my swing trades. I know a lot of people here did it now. Now that people are crying, they're like, do I get out? Do I hold on? I mean, you can see some of these things take big hits. So this is what you learn being part of it. But on the positive side, Andrea, what were some of the greatest experiences that you encountered, in a trade being here at CTU? Do you remember any of the big winners or anything like that? Or, some of the big hurrahs that we had with all the other traders?
Yeah. So, no, I just wanted to add a little bit there because there's always something that's always going in my head. It's like catastrophe is opportunity.
Right.
This tariff trade, I've just been killing it on the spy, just like been making, money hand over fist. Yeah, the biggest ones were the first week, that BTI with that drug with Scarelli. I remember we killed it on Tilray when it hit, what was it, $30 from 5 or something like that.
Yeah, Tilray.
And that was yours. Yeah, that was your pick. God, there's been quite a few big ones. Like I said, I got to look at my notes because there's been so many. There's been so many, let's say, as in the last 2-3 years. I see a lot more positives in my log. And I still log everything by hand. It's odd. I won't do anything on the computer. I still have a book.
What you're saying, I just want people to understand that that's not a bad thing, that you don't need to remember the big winners as losers. You just know that you just come. I don't even remember what I kind of really trade yesterday. I have to go back to my notes because we trade so many of them. You know what I mean? But because every day is a new adventure. You don't look at it that way. I know what you look at the end of the day is, what did I make for the month? You know what I mean? Am I consistent? Because if it's not, I wouldn't be here. So that's really what it comes down to. It's like you're going to work every day. You know what I mean? Like, you can't remember everything that happened at work, but you got to be there, and it obviously just pays for itself. Now, Andrea, some of the students been here for a while, and some are very new. Do you have any, recommendations that you can give, or any advice, or to them for doing this as long as you've been doing it for?
Stick with it. No. So when I first started with you, I actually wrote down 5-6. And one on any day trade, I never invest $20,000. So if it's a $40 stock, I will only buy 500 shares, and it's something that I've stuck through. Not so much with their psychological levels. What I've learned more so now is get rid of arrogance. And what I've really, really noticed the last few years is really, really follow what's going on in the room. What you're talking about. I mean, certain days I'll even post, I'm looking at stuff that's off the list. But the list is always a great way to start. As you and Josh always say, follow the list and follow the advice, because you guys got the book map going. You guys see the algorithms, the market makers coming in. You see where the are. And I found that book map one of the biggest saving graces, actually, the last few years. And of course, education. Yeah, you can't do it on yourself, but not, how can I say? It's like we're in a class of 40 students and whatever in school or something. Some students take from the teacher, some do not. Some, how can I say, they connect with them, some don't. And as you say, come into the room, whoever is new, come into the room for a week and see what we do and how we work as a team, right? And I've made a lot of money from other people's call outs. And follow the rules. Don't be arrogant, It's like, well, it was up $20 yesterday. It's going to be up again. No. Listen to Fausto, Rich, and Josh, basically. And that's what I'm doing more so now, to tell you the truth.
Well, I always tell everybody, you could come in whenever you want, and it's like a Jimmy Buffett. You could just pick up where somebody left off. It's not about killing it. And like you just mentioned earlier about like, oh, I would have, if I just held it, I would have made X amount of money. Because for every one that you probably would have held, there's the other 5 that would have been big losers. You know what I mean? So just don't get greedy and don't get cocky. And like you just said earlier, the goal is that if we could teach you how to trade, you're gonna be knowledgeable, and we're gonna make money off. You have to trade off the list. Sometimes something will show up. Like you just found something and you call it out, and like, crap, I didn't see that. That's great. I would have jumped in it too. That's as long as we all think the same and we're all shopping, that's what it's all about. But Andrea, it's thank you for being a student here for so long. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. I think the traders here appreciate it, seeing you in the room all the time. It's not a full-time job, I tell everybody, but once again, it is great to have that culture and that retirement, and being here, and we're always going to be here. Any last minute words you want to leave to anyone here before we all jump into the trading room?
No, I mean, basically it's almost, I just had a little analogy that I always give our servers. It's kind of like what you touch upon all the time, is when it comes to tips, let's say, like I've served them, but they left me less and they get upset. And I go, don't ever be tip hungry. You know what? Because you might not make it on this table, but there's always another table that's going to make your day. And it's the same thing with the stocks. There will always be one that will reward you in the day. And you know what? If you're not feeling it that day, walk away. If you're up that day, walk away. Go for a bike ride, go golf, go do whatever. Don't try to make it up today. If you're because some days it just doesn't work. Come back tomorrow, and there'll be something there for you to make money on.
That's great advice. And you know what? I was a hypocrite sometimes on that. I think a lot of people have been there. I've stuck it out, and let's say, end up being down 3 trades in a row, and I broke my rule. I'm down 200-300. I'm like, I'll make it on the next one and next one. Next thing you know, I'm down 2,000. You know what I mean? Where I could just walked away and took that $200-300 loss, and then that loss, I get something a little more volatile, a little more dangerous. And you know what? I'm still here. I've done it. I know a lot of people here have done it too. And like you said, it's a numbers game. You're going to miss a lot of them, but if you just know where you're looking, and eventually you'll make it back. Don't take it personal.
It's like horse racing analogy. Everybody who goes to the track, they're having bad days. They want to make it on the last race, and they think they can make it on the same thing. Got to learn when to walk away.
No, that's great. A great way of looking at it. So anyway, Andre, thanks for being here once again. And everybody here, anyone here watching.
No problem. Sorry, the technical issue.
That's fine. That's fine. These things happen once in a while. As long as it's not working when you're doing your trades. I tell everyone, do not trade.
Big help to you all, Lita, Grant.
Yep. There you go. They're all here. Lynn's here. John's here. Mark's here. All the traders are here. Looking forward to seeing this. Great. And if you watch on social media, you just take your phone, scan the QR code. If you want to join the trading room, we're here all day doing commentary. If you want to just not join us, Michael, I'm saying hello to you too. Like Michael Dorsey. Anybody else want to say hello? Gillis, there you go.
Hey, Gilles, bonjour. Comment ça va? There we go. Anyway, I look forward to, and I said, like I'm always inviting you guys to Italy. You can come and trade there, stay with me, and offers always open.
Maybe we'll do an on-site class there. That would be nice.
I've been inviting Josh and Rich. I go, just bring your computers and set up shop for a month.
Well, one of the people that just to let everybody know, we after COVID, like you brought up, we closed our office down and everybody's working remote. So we're doing great doing it that way. You don't have to be at these offices, paying $20,000-$30,000 what we're doing. We're a tech firm. So, they'll be happy. I think they'll be happy going there for a month. Thanks everybody for listening. And we'll see you all back in the trading room.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.